Hello. I'm Joshua Beyler, and this is going to be my research project number two, which is revolving around the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which is a mouthful to say, or I guess some people say the OBBBA Act, which is Public Law 119-21. So the presentation I'm about to go through will kind of be based on the individual tax provisions that are kind of made reference to and any changes that are kind of impacting those things. So with that, I will go ahead and get started. So it's also known as the reconciliation law. Why, I'm not exactly sure. But I suppose it actually has a couple different names, right? It has the PL 119 dash 121, and then it has the OBBBA and One Big Beautiful Bill and reconciliation law. So a couple different names, but um, for the research that I've done, the individual tax provision specific codes that are referenced and kind of have changes made to them are Internal Revenue Code 1, 63, 24, 55, 164, 199, 2010, and then three new codes, which is 2020 or 224, 225, and 226. And I will kind of be going through slide by slide and um, kind of going through what those are presenting, what they were before under TCGA, um, and any changes that are made to them, or if they're new codes, kind of what those new codes are representing and doing. So, carrying on, we have our first code, which is the Individual Tax Provision Code 1. And this code is effective for tax years beginning after 12/31/2025, and it is considered, for the most part, to be permanent, unless any changes come up after this. But most of these are effective as of 12/31, 2025. So all that this code is really doing is kind of making the um, permanent tax bracket percentages for filing statuses, right? So for the majority of the filing statuses, which, if I can rattle them off the top of my head, is head of household, single, married, filing jointly, and there is another one. But in any case, the taxable income amount is changing, but the tax bracket or the percentages typically are going to be a standard, and this is what the new act is kind of proposing, is that it's going to be 10%, 12%, 22%, 24%, 32, 35, 37% are kind of be the standards for each different filing status group. So that's what code 1 changes for that one are. And then we have code 63, which at the beginning, this one kind of confused me a little bit as I was going through it and reading it through checkpoint. But essentially, it starts in its, I put this in, for myself as well, a definition of the standard deduction, which is um, the basic standard deduction and the additional standard deduction, the sum of those. So really what the code is doing is making permanent the standard deduction base amounts. So married filing jointly is going to be 31,500. Head of household will be 23,625, and single will be at 15,750. And then I have a graph over here on the right that kind of shows these things under TCGA and now under One Big Beautiful Bill Act. So Code 24 is a focus on the child tax credit, which is currently set at 2,000, but also was scheduled to revert back to 1,000 after the year 2020 or 2025. The Big Beautiful Bill Act is going to set that rate at 2,200, and from what I read, there is no end date or phase out date or elimination date, this is going to be effective permanently. So that's kind of what this code is focusing on. I have another graph here kind of showing the criteria to be eligible for a child tax credit, but that doesn't have much to do with the numbers that we have here. I just thought, it's always good to include that information as well. So I put that graph in there. Now we have code 55, which it makes former exemptions from the TCJA permanent. So the alternative minimum tax for single status is 81,000. Married filing jointly becomes 126,000, and those are being made permanent based on the former acts that were already in place. So I believe those also had an expiration date of probably 2025, and this is just sort of not even just extending it, but making it permanent as well. So now we have code 164, subsection B. I assume it's subsection or section B, subsection 6 possibly, which revolves around the SELT cap deductions. So under TCJA, the cap was at 10,000 from 2023 to 2025, and then the Big Beautiful Bill Act will expand that cap limit from or up to 40,000. And then this is going to be effective from 2025 to 2029, set to revert back to 10,000 in the year 2030. And I found this cool illustration, before OBBBA and now through 2029. So after the act is in place, and this is supposed to have 3 B's in it, but just a little typo there. Now we have code 199A, which revolves around QBI or qualified business income deductions. So again, under TCJA, a 20% deduction was allowed for pass-through income, set to expire in 2025. Big Beautiful Bill Act has made this permanent. So some of these are just kind of taking what there was there before with possibly an expiration date or a date set to expire as of 2025 or a year to expire as of 2025, and it's just kind of either extending that or making it permanent. So we have code 2010, which revolves around estate and gift tax exclusions. TCJA formally set a rule for doubled exclusion set to expire in 2025. Big Beautiful Bill makes that said doubled exclusion permanent again. So just another example of that happening. Now we have one of the new codes, which is 224, and this revolves around reported tips and deductions on those. So prior to Big Beautiful Bill, their tips had no deductions. They were included under total gross income. So now there's an allowance for a deduction up to 25,000. And this is to expire as of right now in 2028. We have code 225, also a new code under Big Beautiful Bill, and it revolves around deductions for overtime pay. Again, I think that prior to this, there was no deductions for overtime pay. And now the allowance is going to be that individual filers can deduct up to 12,500 and married filing jointly up to 25,000, with the phase out or the phase out based off of an AGI for 150,000 for single and 300,000 for married filing jointly. And I think it's every $1,000 that you make over that, your deduction goes down $100, if I'm not mistaken. And I think it actually says that in this graph here. And in this graph that I found, they actually show under OBBBA tips deductions and overtime deductions. So it's kind of a cool graph that shows both of the previous 2 slides that we looked at. And then finally, we have code 226, which relates to vehicle loan interest deductions. I think since 1986, so since 1986 and to prior to this act and law that was put into place, personal car loan interest has been considered non-deductible. And now Big Beautiful Bill is going to say you can deduct on interest for auto loans for personal use vehicles if you use those personal use vehicles for commuting. So it's kind of a new and cool concept to allow individuals to, I suppose, deduct a bit more. So as of right now, this is set to expire in the year 2028. And lastly, I just have my references. So I primarily use Checkpoint Edge, under federal, and I would just type in the revenue codes I wanted to look at and kind of get some more information based off of those. Of course, with some help of literally, I would just Google something sometimes and just, if there's things that like I wasn't understanding, I would really just take it and just go to Google and type it in and get a little more clarity and background reading on those things. So, and then for all my graphs and stuff, I just really found them on Google Images. So that is everything.